Right, good. I think we're in good shape here. I'm not using OBS to record this. I'm using like the stupid Windows bar thing because I realized I didn't have OBS installed and I had already loaded up the replay. So I don't even know if the microphone is going to work. Let's hope this is working, because otherwise I'm just going to be sat in a room talking to myself for the next 10 minutes. Okay. Good stuff. This is a R1G1 ZBZ. It is PapaFrankzz in the bottom left, as we can see, just about to throw down the spawning pool, and Louos in the top right. Louos with the spawning pool building as well. Excuse me. So production tab is up. We can see that PapaFrankzz not actually. Oh, no, he is. I was about to say not actually building workers. What's going on there? But he is building workers. The slightly earlier gas for Louos. So he will be able to get that speed upgrade out slightly sooner if that's what he chooses to do. And this worker presumably coming down to expand, which is pretty much what you'd expect. So in a ZVZ, it's not that uncommon to go pull first. You don't have to, but it tends to be standard just in case your opponent turns up with lings. It's almost obligatory, really, to crank out 6 lings in the early game. That will either be used defensively in conjunction with your queen to hold off a larger number of lings should they turn up, or offensively to nip across the map and have a look in your opponent's base, maybe see if you can get a worker kill, a couple of worker kills, or who knows if it really is wide open to possibly get a surround and a kill on a queen or something like that. Louos lings are on their way across the map, and it looks suspiciously like we're about to see PapaFrankzz lings also making their way out onto the map. Now, where did they go? Are they just parked somewhere? No, they're retreating back home. Like you can see the little dot on the map there, heading home. So with the queen and these lings, PapaFrankzz would be absolutely fine to see this off. The speed upgrade isn't done for either player at present, so there's nothing much in terms of harassment out of those 2 lings, but what it has allowed is Louos to get a full scout of his opponent's base, as we can see. So hopefully he had the presence of mind to click on that building, and he will know that if he did so, he will know that it's an evolution chamber. So PapaFrankzz presumably throwing down the evo chamber so that he can get out some fast upgrades. Also a roach warren in production for PapaFrankzz. So everything looking pretty straight up and normal. If the queen can kill this overlord, that's a real bonus. Worth moving the queen right to the edge here to get those last few shots off. And it does look like he is going to get that queen kill. So straight away you can see Louos now supply blocked. These 2 lings that come in are having a nibble here, but they won't be able to get anything done. There's more than enough at home here for PapaFrankzz to shut that down pretty sharpish. So Expo finished up. The Expo for Louos was slightly earlier and is mining already and does have a queen in attendance, so slightly ahead on that front. Production for PapaFrankzz gone a little bit stale here, and you can see that represented by the large mineral count. He's got the evolution chamber down, which allows upgrades to be built, but without any gas, you can't capitalize on that. You can't get those upgrades. So does need to get some gas being mined. The spore crawler coming down and spore crawler coming down over here for Louos. That is going to see this overlord off. Doesn't actually quite supply block PapaFrankzz, but certainly gets rid of the Skying Overlord from the corner of the base, which is fine. Let's just check what PapaFrankzz vision is like. How deep did that Overlord get? So saw the 2 evolution chambers, and not a great deal else. These 2 evos, with Louos having been mining gas, you can see that they are upgrading. So he's going for the missile attacks and the carapace, and we also know that roach warren is being built. So he will have these plus 1 attack plus 1 armor roaches pumping out pretty shortly. These upgrades aren't going to take too much longer, with the lair finishing up shortly as well. I will say shortly, it's a while, but once the lair has finished up, that will also enable the speed upgrade for the roaches, and that will make his roaches much tougher than PapaFrankzz. So PapaFrankzz, still no upgrades happening, but is now mining some gas. You really need to up that gas income if you want to be building these roaches. If you are playing as Zerg and roaches are your choice, a couple of things to look out for. Roaches are 2 supply each, so for every 4 roaches you need to be pumping out an overlord. So as your so queen is spitting on a hatch and you highlight the hatch, you'll quite often see that you've got 5 larvae. What the way you build roaches really is you build 4 roaches, 1 overlord, 4 roaches, 1 overlord, to avoid getting into a supply block sort of setup. So that does add to the cost of roaches. Roaches seem like awfully good value, but having to crank out the overlords at that rate does make them a little bit more expensive than they first appear. So I like the position of this overlord. This raised bit here counts as high ground, so this overlord does get to see just this edge of the base, knows that there's no gas here, knows that there are static defenses in effect, and that's quite a cool thing. Also will know if and when this base gets taken, because it will see the creep spread. It'll see the creep spread from the hatchery if and when that goes down. So let's take a quick look at army supply. You can see Louos with a significant army supply advantage, and that is wrapped up in these roaches that are parked right here. Those are 1-1 roaches with 2-2 on the way, it would seem. So not a vast number just yet, but nevertheless a handy little attack force there. I like this. I like to see the creep being spread out onto the map, and there's good creep spread happening from both players. PapaFrankzz bringing the queen out, which is very common if you're playing Zerg, to send queens out, creep queens, just to spread creep. Do bear in mind that if you plant several creep tumors next to each other, the creep spreads more quickly. So a common thing to do is, send a queen out, it plants a creep tumor here, then send the queen forward to plant one here, and bear in mind each creep tumor can spawn another creep tumor. So you use this one to send out a second tumor next to where the queen plants one, and then next time you've got 3, then you've got 4, and then your creep spreading really quickly across the map. So third base now up for Louos. That third base is going to help a lot, because bear in mind when you're a Zerg player, it isn't just about having bases for the income, it is also about having bases for the production. PapaFrankzz with this scouting overlord sees that base is up, and that's going to worry him a little bit. If you're still on 2 bases and you find out that your opponent has got a third base up, and admittedly only a couple of drones, but up and mining, that can disappoint you. Just in plain sight goes ahead and turns this into an overseer. So Louos will be aware of that overseer morphing on his patch, if you like, so he knows that has the potential to come in and have a look around. Worth mentioning that overseers can also gunk buildings, this contaminate thing, which basically freezes a building. It prevents it from producing anything. If it's a evo chamber or an engineering bay or whatever, it pauses the research that's happening from them. And it's not a spell that you see being cast very often, but it can be quite effective. Now, the army supply is pretty heavily in favor of Louos. There's a lot of static defense here. This is not an insignificant number of spine crawlers, and the queen here behind it has got enough energy for a transfuse. Where did the creep queen go? Did it come back home again, or did it get picked off? Or not sure where it went. I'm sure there was another queen lurking about. Anyway, yeah, so despite the heavy army supply piles, the queen can get a couple of good transfuses off, which it's got enough energy for 3 transfuses right there. And good surrounds from the lings. This could be closer than you might think. Now, the corrosive biles are very good though, taking out several of these spine crawlers already. These roaches need to fall back. The queen is not getting any transfuses of whatsoever, and it just looks like that 2-2 upgrade advantage is just far too much for PapaFrankzz to be able to hold this in any way at all, to be honest. So the army of Louos not really taking many casualties at all. That +2 just makes such a huge difference. You're knocking 2 off the damage of every single shot that you take. So that really helping out, and of course the +2 attack means just killing your opponent that little bit quickly. So a bit of a walkthrough really from Louos in the end. And perhaps with some slicker micro might have drawn the battle out a little bit, but you know, Louos did have the production, did have the economy to back it up and send in the reinforcements if they would have been needed. So game 1 goes to Louos. GG. Oh crap, man, I don't know how to stop it recording. What's this? Oh, you're just gonna have to listen to me like muck about with the keyboard and stuff here, and I don't even